Welcome. Here's your HMH lesson for today. We are going to be focusing on story structure. We will be rereading Jack and the Beanstalk. We read the story on the previous lesson. We're going to reread it today, and we're going to focus on we're going to do an activity with the power words, and then we're going to answer some questions and do the reading graphic organizer story structure. So let's talk about story structure. Stories often have a similar structure. Authors organize the plot in a way that will entertain readers. So we have a beginning, middle, and end. The beginning is the events that include the conflict or the problem the characters face. What's the problem? So in Jack and the Beanstalk, what's the problem? They are poor. They're poor. And then the middle is the events in the middle show that the character's trying to solve the problem. So what does he do to try to solve the problem?
He plants the beans.
No, how does he get the beans? JC? He sails the cow. Very good. And does he sail him for money?
No.
He sails him for
beans.
He sails him for beans. And then you're going to look for evidence or clues in the story that describe the plot. The plot is the middle. Okay? So how do we know what happens after that? They describe the beans? They say they're magical beans. How do we know they're magical beans? Yes?
Because in the picture it grows very high.
It grows very high to above the clouds to where the giants live, right? Okay, and the end is the events at the end include the resolution or how the characters solve the conflict, how the characters solve the problem. All right. So we are going to first talk about some power words. We talked a little bit about these words, but I really want us to review because in a minute we're going to be completing this worksheet. Power words, draw and write, and you're going to have to draw a picture for these 4 words. You're going to draw a picture or write words that help you remember each power word from Jack and the Beanstalk. So let's talk about the word swipe, since that's the first one. Miss Yusuf, we skipped plenty. That's okay. Let's just start with swipe. So if we look at the vocabulary card, swipe. The boy looks like he's maybe selling apples. If you swipe something, you take it, or he's taking an apple. So if you swipe something, you take it. What's something that would remind us that swipe means to take? What's something that can remind us that? Yes, Rena? Remember what I said last time? I said swiper, no. Swiper, no, swipey. Did you guys not watch Dora the Explorer when you were kids? Okay, remember they always say swiper, no, swipey. Why? Because what does swiper do?
Steal stuff.
He steals stuff. He takes stuff. So to swipe means to take. So you can either draw a picture of something that would remind you of what swipe means, or you can just write to take something. Okay? You can draw a picture of maybe Swipey. Remember, what is Swipey? Is he a cat?
He's a fox.
He's a fox.
No, it's
Swiper, sorry, Swiper. He's a fox. Maybe you can draw a picture of Swiper. Maybe you can just write to take. Okay? I'm just giving you ideas. I'm going to give you time later to write. If you want to just write the ideas down under swipe, you can do that, but later you're going to illustrate. Okay? All right. The next word is whacked. So if we look back here again, whacked. What does whacked mean? What does whacked mean? Rena?
It means that you hit something hard.
Very good. To whack is if you hit it hard. So he whacked the baseball. If you want to draw this picture, you can. Or you can just say to hit hard. Whacked means to hit something really hard. Right? All right. And then the next word, which is number 4, whimpered. In the picture, the dog whimpered. And the girl looks sad, and the doggy looks sad. What does whimpered mean?
Cry in a soft voice.
Very good. To cry in a soft voice. So if you made a quiet crying noise, you whimpered. That's how humans whimper. Dogs whimper like this.
Oh yeah, that's what
Right?
Cats are like.
Cats, I'm not sure how cats whimper. Right, I don't know. Maybe. You guys sound like a litter of kittens in here. Okay, so anyway, to whimper means to cry in a soft voice or in a quiet voice. All right, you can write that down or you can draw a picture of somebody whimpering. Okay. All right. All right, last word is plenty, which is actually number 1 on the worksheet. Plenty. So this girl has plenty of clothes. What does that mean? What does plenty mean? A lot. Very good. When you have a lot of something, you have plenty of it. So you can draw maybe a bag that has a lot of balls, or maybe a lot of balloons, or maybe you can just write a lot. Okay? Yes, you do. It's number 1 on your worksheet. It's right here, plenty. Okay? So there we go. We talked about plenty, swiped, whacked, and whimpered. Again, if you want to draw a picture, you can, but you can go back and do that later because we're going to move on. On the next page in your reading packet, it says story structure. So you can go to the next page on the back. It says story structure. Most stories have the same story structure. In the beginning, characters face a conflict or a problem. The middle of a story is made up of events that happen as characters try to solve the conflict or problem. And the end tells the resolution or how the conflict is solved. The conflict, events, and resolution make up the story's plot. So we're going to answer the questions, but not now. We'll go back and do that. Right now, what we're going to do is the reading graphic organizer. So if you look on the back of that page, it's going to say story structure. I want you to write the title of the story, which is what? Jack and the Beanstalk. So write the title of the story down, and then we're going to talk together about what the conflict is. So I'm going to ask you to write the title of the story down and pause the video now. All right, so I know you guys already know Jack and the Beanstalk, and you kind of already know, we just talked about it, what the problem is. The problem is they're poor. But I want us to read the story so we can find details, so we can actually put some details in our writing. So we're just going to reread the beginning of the story. Follow along as we read.
Once upon a time, a boy named Jack lived with his mother in a poor little hut. What money they had for food came from selling milk from their cow, Musetta. But when old Musetta stopped giving milk, they knew they would have to sell her. So Jack and the cow hiked into the village. Hours later, Jack returned alone with a handful of beans. Beans?
You think Mom was happy about him coming back with beans?
Beans. You've got to be kidding me, yelled Jack's mother. You were supposed to sell Musetta for money. Beans can't buy food. But the beans are so pretty, said Jack. This is a mess, sighed his mother. Jack went outside and planted the pretty beans in a sunny spot. He gave them a drink of water. Maybe, just maybe, they would grow. And grow they did.
So now let's talk about it. What is Jack's problem? Everyone? Okay, but why? Because they are poor. Because they're poor. So the conflict is Jack and his mother are poor. Jack and his mother are poor. Yes, and why are Jack and his mother poor now? How did they earn a living before they were poor? They used to do what? They used to sell. Good. They used to sell milk, right? But now their cow, Musetta, stopped giving milk, so they can't earn money. So Musetta, the cow, stopped making milk. So they can't earn money. That's the problem. Alright, I'm going to pause the video. Go ahead and write this down now. So, does Jack sell Musetta? Yes, but for what? Good. Jack sells Musetta for beans. Yep, that's all the conflict in the beginning. Alright, go ahead and pause the video if you need more time.
Overnight, the seeds had sprouted. By morning, they had wound into a beautiful beanstalk. How did it grow so fast, wondered Jack. It had grown up, 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 and out of sight beyond the clouds. "Wowee!" exclaimed Jack. Being a curious lad, he simply had to climb it. Where would the beanstalk lead? He went up and up, higher and higher, until he went beyond the clouds. Ta-da! Jack gazed upon an enormous castle. He saw some creepy-looking signs, too. From inside the castle, a voice boomed. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, time for Betty, hoody hum." On the ground was a little bag of gold. "Go away, only giants allowed. Beware, large hungry beings."
So what happens? He plants the beans and...
They grow a lot.
Okay, very good. So Jack plants the beans and climbs the high beanstalk. And what does he find? Jack finds gold. Yes, this is in the middle where it says events. So what happens? Jack plants the beans and climbs the high beanstalk and finds gold. Or Jack finds gold. Alright, write this down and pause the video now. Alright, let's keep reading.
Jack looked left and right and swiped down the beanstalk he went with his treasure. The big sleeper surely wouldn't miss such a small bag. At the sight of the gold, Jack's mother allowed herself a smile. The next morning, Jack climbed the beanstalk again. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, time for Betty, hoody hum." Good timing, thought Jack, and this time he helped himself to a goose who was very busy laying golden eggs. At the sight of the busy goose cranking out golden eggs, Jack's mother allowed herself a giggle.
How do you think she feels about what Jack's doing? Happy! Yay! Now he's bringing money.
The next morning, Jack eagerly climbed the beanstalk. He wondered what treasures awaited him. Oh dear, he did not find what he had expected. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, where on earth did you come from?" "From down on earth," replied Jack. "Well, I came up my beanstalk, which is in earth. You see, I gave it sunshine and water But the giant was not interested in Jack's gardening skills. He was hungry. Jack, being nimble and quick, hurried down the beanstalk. As the giant followed and was halfway down, Jack grabbed an axe, whacked the beanstalk, and splat!
What did he do? He cut down the beanstalk. Very good. Why did he cut down the beanstalk?
Because the giant was following him.
Very good. He didn't want the giant to follow him. All right. So let's see. Jack finds the gold, and then he takes the goose, right? He takes the goose that lays the golden eggs. And the giant follows him down, but Jack cuts. No, the end is, I'll tell you what goes at the end. So he takes the goose and the giant follows him down, but Jack cuts the beanstalk. Does the giant make it down though?
No.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Look. Look. Did he make it down? Yes. I mean, he hurt himself, but he made it down, right? Okay, very good. So the giant made it down. All right, so if you don't have room, you're probably going to need to get a sheet of paper from the back, and that's fine. I don't mind. If you need some time to write this down, pause the video now. All right, let's read what happens last.
My toe hurts, whimpered the giant. And how will I get home? I'll show you, said Jack kindly. First, he showed the giant how to water the beanstalk. Together, they cared for the plant. It grew up and up beyond the clouds. Now the giant could climb home, and Jack bought Musetta back. He returned everything he had taken from the giant. The gentle giant told his new friends they could keep the goose. From that day on, Jack, his mother, the goose, and Musetta had plenty to eat and lived happily ever after. Once in a while, they invited the giant down for a giant feast. These feasts always included plenty of leafy beanstalk greens.
All right, so hold on. What happens last? The giant is worried. Why is the giant worried? Very good. The giant is worried because he doesn't know how to get back up. But is he a friendly giant? Yes. Let's go and write that down. Oops, I'm trying to take off the underline. Okay, you ready? Okay. The giant is worried. Yes, you are writing this at the end. The giant is worried because he does not know how to get back up. So Jack helps him regrow the beanstalk, and the giant lets Jack keep the goose he had taken earlier. Jack helps the giant regrow the beanstalk. The giant lets Jack keep the goose he had taken earlier. It's okay. You're a big kid, aren't you? Good job. All right, so the giant is worried because he does not know how to get back up. Jack helps the giant regrow the beanstalk, and the giant lets Jack keep the goose he had taken earlier in return. All right, if you need time to write that down, you can pause the video now. Okay, now that you have written down what happens in the beginning, middle, and end of your story, what you're going to do next is I want you to complete the worksheet 223 that says story structure on your own. It looks like this. It tells you what pages you're going to find the answers in, 144 to 146. Plus, we just went over the answers. What is Jack's problem? We just talked about that in the beginning of the video. So these two questions should be very easy. When you're done with that, that is all you're doing for reading today. So you had those three things: the story structure, reading graphic organizer, which was this. And then we had the power words, draw and write vocabulary, which was this. And then the story structure, the two questions. You're not going to take the quiz today. You're going to do that tomorrow. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much. And that's all you're doing for HMH today. If you have any questions, let me know. I will see you guys later. Bye.